Hi friends! Today I want to show you how we can build habit trackers using Coda. There are different types of habit trackers that we can build in Coda. We can start from scratch or we can choose any of the templates that are available. Let's talk about templates first. So we can grab an entirely built habit tracker from the Coda gallery. We go to coda.io and then click on gallery and we can explore a lot of templates here. So let's search for the word habit and you'll see that there are many options. Now this is cool because you can just open one of these, explore it, play with it, try different things, and if you like the doc, you can then copy the doc. Once you copy it, now you have this document in your own Coda account and you can tweak it and make changes. Another way to do it is start with a blank project, but then use templates within the doc. So I'm going to call this habit tracker and then try and see if I can find some habit tracking templates. And here's one that I can use immediately. And I can also use the search here to look for other options if they are available. Now, as you can see, a lot of objects come with each template. And to really know how to use this, it's really important to understand how these are built out. Now, we'll talk about this a bit later. But for now, let me show you also how we can build something from scratch. So I'm going to add a new page here. And let's call it tracking habits this time. And there are multiple ways we can do this. We can keep it simple. So if you want to keep it simple, you just want something to check off, you can actually create a template. So I'm going to add a subpage here, call this template. Okay, a habit tracking template. And let's say I want to just add habit 1, habit 2, and just maybe keep it even more simple and copy paste this a few times. And let's say this is my template and I want to use this daily. What I would do then is I would just add a button here called duplicate page, call this habit tracker, and say new habit tracker, and I would choose the page I want to track with duplicate, which is the template. And let's say I want to name this today. Okay. Awesome. Let's make it large. Let's add a color. Okay, let's keep it this way for now. So what this button does is now it will duplicate this template and add the name, instead of the name, add the date of today. And voila, as you can see, here I have a new habit tracker. I can check these off. And then on the following day, I would come back to the habit tracker, tracking habits page. This would be my home page. I would click on new habit tracker and it will create a new page with obviously the date of tomorrow, or let's say this should be the 28th, and then I start tracking. Now this is the simplest form of tracking habits, and you won't be able to gather any type of data here. You have to go from page to page to do that. But if this is something that you want, something very simple, this would be helpful. Another thing we can do is we can add tables. So I'm going to say here, track my habits, and I'm going to add a table. Now, creating tables to track habits can be a little tricky because it depends on what type of tracker you want, like what data you want to gather from this table. That's why it's easier for you to use, in the case of tracking habits, it might be easier for you to use a template. So if I add a table here, let's try something here. Let's say this is the habit place. I want to write some of my habits here. Drink enough water, walk 10,000 steps a day, etc. You can just add as many you want, meditate, do yoga. And then, now this, I have to create a separate column for each of the days. And then you have the issue of tracking for months. So this can become a chore to create a real good habit tracker. We can use the same technique we used here. So if, let's say I want to create this, say day 1, day 2, and maybe even make this like a checklist, okay, like this. And actually I would just duplicate this. So it has all the settings I want. I would add multiple ones here, and I can even freeze this first column, because eventually if I add too many columns here, I will have to scroll, and I want to keep that first column frozen, right? So this is one way to do it, but then what you want to do is create a button again to duplicate this page for each month. In that case, I would just call the button, let's say, add a new one here, duplicate page, monthly tracker. It's okay. Let's say create new monthly tracker. Make it green. Oops. Yeah, we have to define which page we want to duplicate, which is tracking my habits. And there we go. Now if I click on this, okay, let's also add the name of the page. I don't want it to be this one. Let's make it today. Okay, equals today. Oops. Today dot month name. Awesome. So now if I click on this, I will have a new page. I can even say where I want the page to appear. We can set that in the button. It just states the name of the month, and the table is duplicated now. It says view of table. We can rename this habits, September habits, or September habit tracker. So that's how you would duplicate for each month, and you can use this technique as well if you want to create something simple. Now, let's say you want a tracker where you can have charts and you can track more data. In that case, it will take more time for you to build this, something like that. So I suggest start small and then build on top of that, or use one of the templates. So for example, I'm going to use this habit tracker template that I added from the explore option here, and then the templates, it's this one. So I want to use this and show you how we can use this and add charts. First, as I said, whenever you add a template or you start from a doc in the gallery, make sure you really understand how this entire doc works, because there are things that you might not know how they work, and it will break your system. For example, this clear log will actually clear all the old content in the table. So let's say I want to log some information here, and as you can see, this was added here. If I click on the clear log button, it will delete all entries. So this is useful to use when you add the template, so you can clear all the example data, but you might be very careful about this. Maybe even hide it somehow. Let's say danger, and I'm going to hide this here. Okay, and I'm going to say collapse content. Okay, so there we go. So now it's hidden. Another thing is, if I click this button at this moment, it's going to add a row somewhere, and I don't know where it is. It didn't open up, right? So I want to make sure that I have the open for editing option on. Now that will allow me to see what I'm adding and also delete if I don't want to, if I click the button by mistake. Okay, so let's add a new habit. Let's say do yoga, and there it is. But it didn't appear in my table. I wonder why, right? So let's see what this button does. Okay, cool. So This is very helpful with habits because you want to track different habits each month, right? Sometimes you want to add new things, sometimes you want to remove some of the things, and you don't want to lose the log. So I guess this is one option that this template builder added, where you can just simply select, say, you know what, I'm going to do the following this month, and I don't want to see the others. Cool. So let's log some of the items. Water intake, done. Daily meditation, done, let's say. And then let's say, I did this yesterday as well. So I want to log for yesterday. I choose the date and the past date and click done. And also did it today. So let's click that. And then you can do the same here. So every time I click done, the item is logged in the table here, as you see, for today. If I want to backlog and add stuff for a backdate some of these log items, I would just add the date here under past date. Let's say I also read Sunday, Saturday. Let's add done, and there it is. Okay. Now, these are two separate tables. This is a really complex system. They were built in a way that they work together. So how do I also see this data? I want to know how many days I did my reading and so on. Like the calendar is great to see a view of a streak, for example, but let's say I want to see a chart. What I would do is I would add another table and choose my wellness log for this one, and let's call it chart. And then I would just choose the chart option from here. And as you can see, we need to make some changes. We want the horizontal axis to be the exercises, and we have the count. Perfect. So it says water intake 1, daily meditation 1, and this is 3 because we added some old ones as well, like from the previous days. So this is one way to use a chart to see the content. Now, let's say I want to do a comparison between this month and the previous month. I'm going to re-add that table, the wellness log table, and I'm creating views of the same table. As you can see, I'm not changing anything in the existing table. I'm just creating new views, and I'm going to say let's keep this name for now, and then we'll think of a new name. I'm going to add a new column, call it month, and I'm going to make this a formula column, and I want to say this column should be the date dot month name. Cool. Now this is the month name. Let's change some of these to a previous month so we can see how things work. And I'm going to group this column by the month. And now I can see that I've completed 5 habits in September and 2 habits in August. And another thing I can do, of course, I can sort this out as well. But another thing I can do is I'm also going to group by the exercise. Now I can see how many of these I did each month. So I did 30 minutes of reading twice in September and everything else once, right? And I can see the dates here. So this is another way of seeing things, let's say grouped by month and exercise or habit, whatever you want to call it. And we can see it this way. Now, because I added the month, I can create another chart to see how this looks for months. And I'm actually going to type chart right now, choose the bar chart, and then choose my table, which is my wellness log. Okay, say monthly chart. Now in this case, I'm going to make some changes here and say, again, it's not the date, it's the month, and then I'm going to segment it by the exercises, and I will see how this looks. Cool. I can also do the reverse. Let's say I'm going to choose the horizontal axis to be the exercise and segment it by the month, and in that case the months will be different colors. Cool. So you can just tweak with this and see how you can work with it. You can also use Coda on mobile phones. So especially for tracking habits, you want to use this app on your phone. You can experiment and see how this works, if this works for you. For example, as I clicking on the checkbox, you can see it's doable and easy to do on mobile. You can also swipe on the table entries and click done to mark or to log a habit. But to past date it, you need to click on the entry to open and see more fields and do that. And that's how you track habits in Coda. You can be as creative as you want, explore some of the templates. There are tons of templates and different ways of tracking habits, and people have used different sort of things, as you can see. You can do these. You can use any template or build your own and just gradually make it more complex and add all the charts and whatnot, everything else that you need. Hope this is helpful for you to get started to track habits in Coda.